Okay, so as I said, we proceed with um, the product rule. So the product rule, just from the word product, so the product rule, we know to say every time you're finding a product, it means that you're multiplying two numbers, or a product is usually found after multiplying two numbers. So what this means is that the product rule, the product rule is applicable only when there are two functions multiplying. So for instance, we have this function multiplying with this function, means that when differentiating this kind of a function, we need to use the product rule. Same applies to this function here. We have this function multiplying this other function, meaning to solve, or rather to differentiate this function, P, we need to use the product rule. So let's start with this one. So the product rule states that to find dy dx, if you've been given two functions u and v, if you've been given two functions which are multiplying, let's say you have y is equal to, u is multiplying with another function v, to find dy dx, you simply say v u prime. So u prime is simply just the same as du, is simply just the same as du dx. Then you're going to add this with v, rather u dv dx. So in other books, they will not use du dx and dv dx, but they'll only say v u prime plus u v prime. So whenever you see u prime is simply just du dx, and then v prime is simply just the same as dv dx. So these two equations are just the same. So this is the product rule. So we have these two functions multiplying, and we're going to equate u to x minus 3 and v to this other function. So we're going to say let u be equal to x minus 3, and your v will be equal to x squared plus 7x minus 1. So this is what you're going to have. So to find u prime, we're going to say u prime is simply just equal to, so u prime is simply just the same as du dx. So we're differentiating this function with respect to x. So u prime will be equal to x. When you differentiate x, you're going to get 1. When you differentiate -3, you're going to get 0. So u prime is simply just 1. Then let's look at v prime. So v prime is also just the same as dv dx. So dv dx in this case will be 2 times the coefficient of x there, we get 2. Then x, 2 minus 1 to be 1. X to the power 1, simply just x. So we have plus 7x. So 7x, when differentiated, we're going to get 7. Then we have this part here, -1, which is a constant. The derivative of a constant is 0. So it's just the same as not writing. If you want, you can write it or not, still the same. So our v prime becomes 2x plus 7. So we replace the the functions that were found in this expression. So we know to say dy dx according to the product rule is going to be given by v u prime plus u v prime. So this will be equal to our v is simply just this expression there. So our v is this expression. So I'm going to write that, which is x squared plus 7x minus 1. And then our u prime is simply just what we found here, which is just 1. Then we say plus. We move on to this part. The value of u is simply just this part here, which is x minus 3. we have x minus 3 there. And then we're multiplying it with v prime. So v prime is simply just 2x plus 7. So here it's just a matter of simplifying the expression. So we can simplify this expression to find dy dx. So 1 times everything there, we get the same thing. So we have x squared plus 7x minus 1. And then we multiply this and that. So if you want, you can just leave them the way they are, or you multiply them, depending with how your marker or your lecturer wants you to leave the expression. They want you to leave it in a simplified version, meaning you have to multiply them. But whether you multiply or not, you still get the same answer. So this is the final answer for the derivative of this. Do you have any questions? So the product rule is on just this principle here. But okay. So let me solve this one as well. So still on the product rule. So we're going to say let u be equal to 1 over t, which is the first function. U be equal to 1 over t, and then v be equal to t squared plus 1. Okay. So from the product rule, we know to say the p, in this case we're using p, the p dt will be equal to u v prime plus vu prime, still the same. I've switched them, but you still have the same answer. The only part where you don't have to switch them is on the it's on the quotient rule. So for the quotient rule, you don't have to switch them, but for the product rule, even if you switch them, you start with v or you start with u, the answer will still be the same. But on the quotient rule, you don't have to switch them because subtraction is not commutative, but addition is commutative, meaning you can interchange the letters, you still get the same answer. So let me write it the way I wrote it at first. So it was v u prime, then plus u v prime. Okay, so to find u prime, before we find u prime, we can first simplify this. So my u can also be written as t to the power -1. I've taken the t on top. So to find u prime, I'm going to have -1 times the coefficient there, which is 1. -1 times 1, I'm getting -1. Then I have t, -1 minus 1, I'm getting -2. And then this other part, to find v prime, v prime will simply just be 2 times the coefficient of t here. I'm going to get 2. Then I have 2t. Then you have 2 minus 1 there. This will be 1. Okay, so my v prime becomes 2t. I've left this one because it's a constant. When I differentiate this, it will give me a 0. So simplifying u prime, I'm getting -1 over t to the power 2. Okay, so it's just a matter of now replacing what I've found here in the equation. So to find dp, so to find dp dt, v, where is v? My v is simply just this part here. So this is v, which is t squared plus 1. And then u prime is simply just -1 over t2. So u prime is simply just -1 over t to the power 2. And then I have plus there. Then u here, The value of u is simply just 1 over t. 1 over t, that's my u. And then v prime is simply just 2t. 2t, that's my v prime. So we simplify this expression. The t is simply now going to be equal to. So if I want, I can multiply this through. So I'm going to have this negative 1 over t to the power 2 times t to the power 2. I'm getting negative 1. And then when I multiply this 1 times negative t to the power, negative 1 over t to the power 2, I'm getting negative 1 over t to the power 2. Then plus, when I multiply 1 over t times 2t, I'm getting 2. So this part and this and that part can add, which will give me 1. So I know to say negative 1 plus 2, the answer is 1. So this is what I'm going to get. So when I add this and that, I'm going to get 1. Then minus 1 over t squared. So this is what I'm going to have as the final answer. Do you have any questions about the product rule? Because the product rule basically is simply just this formula here. Just understand how to use this formula. So if you have any questions when you're studying when you're going through papers or other material, feel free to contact me or to send the question over on WhatsApp. Then I'll help you out. Do you have any questions on the product rule?
No, sir, I'm okay.
Okay. Let's move on to the quotient rule.